and minimize. Okay, guys, welcome for our first timers and for those that are joining us again, who have been with us throughout this journey. Welcome to everybody. We're excited to see and hear from each and every one of y'all. Today's agenda, we're going to start with our San Antonio Pug leaders introductions. We're going to talk about how to get involved with our group. We're going to cover this month's Fabric updates along with Power BI updates. And then Jason is going to present on learning and getting certified in Microsoft Fabric. And then we're going to answer questions and close out with any comments. Our San Antonio Power BI user group leaders, our main leader and captain of the ship is Lawrence Coffey. He cannot be with us today, but a lot of y'all should recognize that name since he's very involved with the community. And then we have Rayanne.
Yeah, hello, I'm Ryan Yasmin. I have my background in geophysics, and later I moved on to data science and data analysis. I joined the multiple group in San Antonio for data, and we're we like to create or move on with this community to help each other.
Hi, I'm Jason Roelofs. I will be presenting today. I usually go by Jason C. Roelofs, so it's easier to find me online. But I'll be sharing about how I got certified as a Microsoft Fabric analytics engineer and what that journey was like, and just to help anybody else that might want to pursue it as well.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys. And we also have Antonio, who's involved with the with our leadership group, and he unfortunately could not be with us today. And then I am Chris Allman. I am a data analytics manager with Guadalupe Valley Electric Co-op, or GVEC for short. And I will be working in data for almost 3 years here. So super excited to be here and learn from everybody. So how can you get involved with us as we are growing? We are involved in want y'all to join us in this journey. And we have several different platforms that we are using, Meetup, LinkedIn, and Microsoft Fabric Community. And we're using those different platforms to encourage our growth and also to disseminate information and just keep just a way of keeping that line of communication open with any updates in our future meetings and topics that we're covering, etc. And if you look in the chat, I went ahead and threw the slide deck into the chat. That way you have access to the links. And if you click on the link in the PowerPoint slide, it will take you directly to our group for that platform. And of course, we got to save the date. We do meet, or well, this session is for anyone that has a team or any individual that would like to learn Power BI in a guided session. We're here just learning about Power BI and from each other and sharing our personal experiences and just helping each other out with Power BI and now Fabric, which Jason's going to cover. So we meet every last Wednesday of the month at 12 p.m. And then there is a link on the bottom to join our meetup group. And you can go ahead and reserve next month's meeting and so forth. And then that will also have information on future topics. And the next, community impact. This is a group that is really run by the community. And we're always looking for future speakers to present. So folks that have extensive experience or something that they would like to share that they're knowledgeable on, fill out the volunteer speaker request form. There's a link at the bottom of this slide that'll take you to a Microsoft form. And we have a number of topics that our community or our group has expressed an interest in learning more about, which is over on the right side of the slide. And if you want to present on some of those topics or one of those topics or have a different topic you'd like to present, feel free to throw your hat in the ring and fill out that volunteer form. Next, we have Fabric updates. If you look at the very top where it says monthly updates for Fabric, if you click on that, that will take you to the official Fabric blog where they will have more detailed information on all of the updates. And there are so many updates happening in Fabric that it just would be impossible to list them all. So here's a couple high level updates that just kind of caught our attention. You can ask Copilot questions now against your semantic model. That is in preview. Visual level format strings in preview. That is giving you more options to configure your formatting in your different visuals. And it looks like they're dedicating a lot of time and resources to improving the visual experience and make it more customizable, which is always a nice thing to have. Dynamic subscriptions. This is actually really cool, where you can have personalized reports that are based on defined rules or settings that can be sent using the subscription service. For example, if you have row level security in the data set, you can now use that data set to send a subscription meeting those row level security requirements to individual users. So that's actually very, very helpful. Then also updated save and upload to OneDrive Flow in Power BI. And then a data limit to help manage performance issues by setting the max data load per visual and desktop. We've all have run into that issue where we've hit that max limit on utilizing resources to load that visual, and then we get that gray screen on the visual that says no go, not going to work. And then we have to go back and do a little more investigation to figure out how to optimize that visual. So this hopefully will help with that. And then visual shapes and line enhancements, they're being fine-tuned. Again, going back to the visuals and making more customizations, they're working on cleaning up some of the visuals within the legend. And there's more details, I could describe it, but it really wouldn't do justice. Really, I recommend you going into the monthly Fabric update and read the article about it. It'll give you a much better description and visuals on what those changes are. And now Power BI updates specific. Again, if you click on the monthly updates for Power BI, you'll notice that, or that's the Power BI blog. First off, you have the admin monitoring workspace that is now available for government tenants. The admin monitoring workspace came out, I believe, a month or two ago, but it was not available for government tenants, but now it is. The tabular model definition language is now generally available. Deep dive into DAX query view for web. You can now write DAX queries with DAX query view for web from published semantic models in the workspace. That looks like they're continuing to move different features that are available on desktop to mirror service, which is really, really helpful. Customize, that's supposed to be customize your Azure map reference layers. They're adding more features to the Azure map, which is really, really cool, especially for those that are dealing with geospatial data. And then there is a general availability of enhanced row level security editor in Power BI desktop. For that one, I would recommend going to the article to get more detailed information on that. It'll explain it better. And then DAX query available in Live Connect. And so those are just a couple of the updates, very, very high level. Again, recommend you go into the blogs for those details of each of the different features. And that is all I have. Jason, I'm going to hand it off to you for your presentation.
Yeah, definitely. Let me set up my sharing real quick. Entire screen over here. Share. Let me know when you can see it. Y'all seen my screen yet?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Okay. So, all right. Thanks so much for joining today. Also, just wanted to shout out, I saw John V. City had shared some information in the chat there to connect with her on LinkedIn. So go ahead and check that out. But thank you for sharing that. Wanted to go over just how to learn about Microsoft Fabric and explore if you want to get certified and what that is like. I put the date on it today because it's a fast changing world, and Microsoft Fabric is changing considerably as time goes on, and so I wanted to share it within the context of where we're at right now. This slide deck will be available afterwards and has a number of links in it that you'll be able to access and dive in deeper. But wanted to go ahead and just kind of share like those objectives that we talked about in our messaging. What we really want to talk about is how to learn about Microsoft Fabric, learn about the DP600 certification exam, and then give you additional resources and insights to kind of help you get ready for it if you're pursuing it, or just further explore Fabric, some other facets of Fabric. So first, want to just kind of do a recap of Microsoft Fabric. Ryan did an amazing job presenting on that a couple months ago, and I just want to follow it up with a little bit of a refresher and to call out some things that are really actually like focused on within the certification exam. So what is Microsoft Fabric? It is the unified data platform of the future for Microsoft. It really brings together not only analytics, but also data integration and data science and real-time intelligence, all these things that you're seeing on the screen here. And I'll actually go into each one of them individually in the next few slides to kind of cover that. So the first one, the one that most of us are most likely familiar with, is Power BI. It's the business intelligence capability within Fabric, and it covers, reports, paginated reports, scorecards, so mostly just like KPI numbers, dashboards, like you see on the right, streaming data set visuals, and the data mart, which is data mart is in previous more of a self-serve, where you have a common data model and people are able to actually in the Power BI service it's also available, where it's like people can kind of self-serve and do no code integration and analysis. So Power BI is like, it's the core thing that they first brought into Fabric, along with the integration capability, which was also kind of mirrored in Power BI on the premium side, where you can set up data flows and pipelines, data flows. So this is all about being able to bring in information from different sources and use different tools like notebooks, or just databases into warehouses, things like that. So you're able to set up a number of automations, scheduling workflows, and basically be able to kind of do the ETL processes and do it at scale. So we've gone over Power BI, Data Factory. Their data engineering is really about setting up like the containers and the environment. So like you're going to be able to create a lake house, operationalize your workflows, and then be able to share that data out. So you're talking about lake house is kind of the core, the core data storage type in the tool. So most everything that's done as far as being able to do shortcuts and not have to copy data and everything, you're going to have lake houses in order to do that. Notebooks are going to allow you to do data transformation, and you can actually do some visuals within notebooks as well, because it's all based on Apache Spark or PySpark, using PySpark to write all of that, of the code and whatnot that drives it. You're going to have your environment, so you basically have like your shared libraries and your compute settings and everything that can be shared across multiple data items or products. And then Spark job definitions are also something that can also be put into workflows, which will allow you to do automations using like notebooks and pipelines. And then let's see here. They also have added a preview for GraphQL, so you'll be able to query the data, even like unstructured data, by being able to do like schema on demand and or on read, and be able to see data, nested data, rather than just getting like flat table information. So the Synapse data engineering is the data engineering capability in Fabric. Data warehousing is really going to be what you have for structured data. That's going to your highest performance, so you can scale compute and storage independently. So the warehouse is like the main capability within that, but they also have added, just in the last few months, they've added the ability to mirror data from other sources, like either other Azure SQL databases or Snowflake or Cosmos DB. So, and they're adding more as they go. So it's really, they're moving to having a similar offering that you'd see in like Snowflake or Databricks. And that's also, and being able to ingest those things so you don't have to have those type of solutions. You can bring it all into a single unified platform. As far as data science, this is one thing I think is fun, kind of interesting. Like internally inside Fabric, when you're in the app, it shares, use machine learning to detect trends, identify outliers, predict values from your data. But externally, when they're talking about data science, they're talking about using AI tools to build end-to-end workflows, enrich data, and improve insights. And I think that's kind of because the AI is still being built out. So one's more like a current state and one's more like a future state. Although the last item on here, the AI skill, was something that they actually added at the beginning of this month, where you can actually use generative AI and train your own, like have a custom co-pilot. So it's a new feature that they've added. And then you also have co-pilot as an overlying AI function that is available in multiple different sets of these tools too that we're going through. So, but with the machine learning, you can build models, you can write hypotheses, create experiments where you can, run them and track them. Again, using notebooks, you can explore data and build machine learning solutions within notebooks. And it also has shared environment settings and whatnot as part of the data science capability as well. Real-time intelligence. This is one that it's actually very strong. It's not something that's actually covered much in the exam, very little, but it really is, I think, something that's going to be more important going forward. It's really about like, where can you get those streaming data events, usually part of a larger deployment or very specific use cases. But so basically, it allows you to explore, analyze, and act on large volumes of streaming data, near real time, high performance, low latency. So they have Event House, which lets you handle both structured and unstructured data, as well as the streaming data for querying. The KQL stands for Custo query language. So Custo is the language for querying streaming data. And so it allows you to create shareable tables and visuals, just like you can have visuals inside using notebooks as well. So gives you real-time dashboards, event streams. Event streams let you handle all, like, to capture and transform and route real-time event streams with no code experience. And then Reflex is their name that they have. Kind of, it's also in Data Activator, which we'll go to next, but it's all about being able to monitor and trigger actions and alerts. So I'll jump into that next one. So yeah, Data Activator. Basically the same thing. You can do it in real time with real-time data, or you can do it with any data sets, queries, even Power BI reports. You can even see if a visual hits a certain, like if a visual meets a certain criteria, you can have it trigger an action like kicking off a workflow, alerting users, things like that. So, and within Data Activator, they also have the ability to test it out in a sample environment, because we don't want to be like nailing people with notifications that are, just from a testing perspective. So, so Data Activator, and then they also have specialized industry solutions that they've developed and that are just part of the platform. So if you're in retail, healthcare, or you work with sustainability, like environmental, social governance, they have out-of-the-box solutions that have a lot of things pre-built for you. So that's also offered in Microsoft Fabric, not really something that's covered on any of the tests within the exam either, but just wanted to share that's out there, especially for anybody who might be in those industries and want to explore that more. So what Fabric has all these capabilities, and they have tools, and it's really like has been done with a lot of other vendors like Snowflake and Databricks. Like, it's breaking compute and storage, right? So there's a number of different languages on the serverless compute, like Spark, T-SQL, Custo, and then the Power BI analysis services. And it's all built on top of a single data lake that's like your tenant level. You only have a single data lake for the whole tenant. Like, and then within that, you can have workspaces that you can break down for specific, departments or maybe disciplines, however you want. And you can control a lot of access and whatnot through workspaces as well. But the idea is that there's an underlying data lake, and that's storing all the information in like Delta Parquet format. And that is, so basically that's the best way. It's the best standard for big data. And so you're able to store all this information, and then you write semantic models in order to set your schema on read. So you can be referencing the same workspaces or the same, lake houses, and you can have it referenced differently for different like departments or workspaces, things like that. So it's all about having a single open source of data, and then being able to configure it to set like security and governance to where you can have that set all in one place, instead of having it set out about a bunch of different tools. So like, normally, in order to manage an environment this complex, you'd have to be like provisioning a lot of different servers and services, and managing and monitoring all these different things, and just the overhead of managing all this would be, complex and expensive. Whereas this is offered like as software as a service, to where it's less complex. It's not simple, but it's less complex, I would say. So this is like shares, like this is a screenshot from the Fabric API. They have a or the Fabric app. They have a One Lake Data Hub link, where it basically shows you all the different data objects that you have within your One Lake. So you can see that there's like lake houses, warehouses, semantic models. It used to be called data sets. They changed that to just be semantic models. And you can also have like, a KQL data set, like maybe it's just a cache data set of real-time data and whatnot. So so let's go next. So the real benefits of One Lake are visibility. You have a single multi-cloud data lake for your whole organization. All your team members and disciplines are working from one single, the same copy of data, right? Like, there's one source of truth for any piece of data. The stops the data from being moved. There's like no duplication or ownership changes, and it gives you that unified governance and compliance. Like, some of the key concepts that were introduced with One Lake 2 are, so when we're looking at number 3, like stopping data from being moved and duplicated. So the concepts of having shortcuts where lake houses can reference other lake houses, but don't have to. You can create like integrated lakehouse data set, but there's no copying of data. It's just knows how to reference it, or even externally, like, you know, you can have mirrored data sets that you're looking at, or databases, and they're, you know, they can be doing a pass-through query back to the original data source. So even external items can be brought in, and they can either be mirrored or they can be queried live back to the actual source of data. Say you have it in AWS or somewhere else, like an S3 bucket, or the idea is open access. That is like a bit, basically one shared copy of all data, and one level, like one set of security rules and whatnot. So you're not having to, like, a lot of times things can get messed up when you're like, okay, in that service, how is it being provisioned, and, you know, and like how are the accounts being set up and the users and all these things. It's a whole bunch of management, and this simplifies a lot of that. So we got all these unified capabilities, simple pricing, kind of, not exactly. I tried to share the pricing in the most simple way here. So basically, you don't have to manage all the infrastructure, all the provisioning, all the, you know, networking and all these other things. So right now, like, you're just thinking about, I need to pay for compute, storage, and then I need to pay for shared analytics. So like, out of the box, you set up an account, and your costs are gonna be tied to compute. What are the workloads I'm doing, and how much resources do they take? Storage is like cheap, right? Like 2 cents a gig a month. I can't even believe, like, we've gotten that cheap on storage. And then if you want to have shared analytics, anybody that is either creating or viewing would need to have licenses. There are some exceptions, so I'll get to that. But the main thing, and also currently there's no networking or bandwidth fees. With the mirroring, well, they're going to be bringing in probably some fees for that, because they're actually generous with their mirroring. So I'll go kind of go through that a little bit. So here is like what fabric capacity pricing is currently for the central US. I think it's the same for all US. I clicked through a bunch of them, they looked all the same. But I think there's like 6 or 8 different like zones you can pick from. But generally, your simplest capacity, a single 2 unit, 36 cents an hour. You can be built as like little as 1 minute. So all you need is like a minute to have your fabric running, and the prices scale like perfectly with the capacity units. There is like, if you had a Power BI capacity, like a what they call PSQs, like an F64, I think is equal to like a P8, which is we talked about how, like, you needed to have a Power BI license for people creating and viewing. The one exception is if you are at an F64 capacity or greater, you don't have to pay for viewers. So that's something that will come up on the test. And in fact, I think it's actually even on the practice exam. We'll look at it in a little while. But this is a pay-as-you-go rates. Basically, any reservation, which is like a 1-year commitment, gets you a 41% discount, but you're paying for that thing to run for like the full year. So, all right. So there is a little bit of a couple things about One Lake Storage, so I wanted to bring that up as well. So the caching for your real-time data is more expensive than just the regular storage. It's 24 cents a gig, but that's billed for any cache storage or data activator data that you're retaining. So but still not much. And depending, it really depends on your workload, whether it makes sense to do that or bring in the data from somewhere else, have it mirrored, things like that. The other small caveat is like your build through one lake storage, even after something's deleted, based upon the retention policy, and you can set the retention policy from 7 to 90 days. So you'll still be billed for anything that's retained. And then anything that you do specifically with Power BI is those storage is free as part of the Power BI license. So any Power BI semantic models you make, any information that you bring in, just basically just for display in Power BI, it's going to be used in the Power BI service still. It's kind of like a shared service. You'll never be billed for one lake storage on Power BI items that you would be handling in Power BI, unless it like overflows the allotment. So like I think Pro caps out at a gig, and I can't remember what Premium does. Maybe it's 40 gig. But so basically you'll save a little bit of money there, depending on what your situation is. And then this was just added recently, mirroring, where based on your capacity, they're actually giving you up to that number of terabytes in free mirroring. So like if you have an F64, okay, X64 is P1, sorry, that was P8. That was, I think, something else. But the F64 is 64 terabytes. You can mirror up to 64 terabytes of information and not have to pay any storage prices or whatnot. So that's where I say, like, I can imagine that storage costs will come up at some point, or networking and bandwidth costs will come up at some point. If you're mirroring 64 terabytes of data, they're probably going to have some fees for that. But at this time, it's free, so have at it. As far as Power BI licensing goes, just like Power BI is free with desktop, or like for your own, you can do things on the Power BI service that are not shared for free. The same is true with Fabric. So you have a workspace within your Fabric account. You can do things in Power BI, but when you want to publish or share those visualizations, data sets, things like that, you're going to need either a Pro or Premium license. The Pro, like I said, has some caps. Like I think you can only have up to a gig of data being ran through the Power BI service, and then Power BI Premium ups that and gives you additional features like the data integration capabilities that are in Power BI. So so you have larger model sizes, more frequent refreshes, and yeah. So the only other thing is, like, Power BI Pro could be included in your licensing if you have Microsoft 365 E5 or Office 365 E5. So you might, depending on how you're licensed, check on that. By the way, you'll see on a number of these, I have like a link. When we share this out, you'll be able to click on that link and get directly to see if everything is still true, right? Because we built this around how it is now, but things do change over time. And so I want to talk about, okay, so that's like Fabric. It's this new, it's, a new data platform, brings together a lot of different capabilities and services. And, but like, why would I want to, or how would I even learn about it? Because maybe we already use Power BI. We don't have any active workloads in Fabric. And we might not for a little while, right? It's still being built out. So AI functionality is coming into Fabric, but it's coming in piecemeal, right? Like new features and skills are being added all the time. So when is that critical nexus? It's in the future, probably. If your main draw is AI, I would say, let's see what it looks like 3 to 6 months from now. But like, you're going to want to start learning this ahead of time because of the wide array of features and tools and technologies. It's something that you're going to want to start learning about before you have to like actually start implementing. So Microsoft, their Learn website and their Fabric community are the best resources for learning about it. They have done a lot more than normal of resourcing people looking to get certified and learn Microsoft Fabric. They are giving a 60-day free trial, which is at an F64 capacity. That F64 capacity is, that would be the equivalent of like, I don't know, $5,000 a month to run that, or maybe a little bit less. I can't recall the exact numbers, but it's like multiple $1,000 trial you're able to run for free for 60 days while you learn it. It doesn't include mirroring, so you're not going to get 64 terabytes of mirrored data inside Fabric, but everything else, learning all the capacities, even the Power BI features, you're going to be able to do all of that within the trial. They also have additional learning resources and learning rooms, learning videos, and more. So kind of get into some of that. The best landing page to start from on learning is there's a learn page specifically for Fabric. There's a couple links that are shown here near the top. The first one will take you to look at all the different modules in Learn and filtered by Fabric. So there's like 29 currently. About half of them have to do with items that are covered within the certification exam, and then others are more edge cases or specific, something might be for a specific industry or for a specific implementation. So where they're like integrating with some third-party services and whatnot, not really covered in the exam, but information available through learning modules. The best way to kind of get started with Microsoft Fabric is actually a learning path they have, which has 11 modules, 11 key modules to really help you get down all the basics and terminology within the tool. So this learning path contains modules, like those 11 modules each have units. So here's a single module about learning how to get started with lake houses in Microsoft Fabric. They're going to have articles that you'll read through that might have different helpful, they're going to have different learnings, like actually I have an example one here. So here's one about Microsoft Lakehouse and how it's, it's a data lake, has flexible schema on read semantics, big data technology compatibility, and then you have a data warehouse where you have relational schema modeling, SQL-based querying, proven basis for reporting analytics. So it's like kind of goes through a really good learning path on all the different key concepts and how everything works. So like in your lake houses, you're in Delta format. And then when you're in warehouses, you're in a SQL format. And each of them most of them have an exercise, and this exercise really is something that it'll allow you to like go in and do all of the querying, it'll allow you to actually get into the tool. So you can create a Fabric trial and then actually do everything that they're sharing. They'll give you example data sets. Most of them are CSVs that you convert into tables. Or they even do have some streaming data sets for the real-time intelligence section. It'll give you sample code to help you like just start, here's some SQL code and how you run it and all these things. So it really runs you through everything, helps you create visuals. It's a real good hands-on kind of lab-like environment, and it'll tell you exactly like how long they should take. Here's the link to get your free trial started. So if you're doing one of these exercises, and then also we mentioned like the Fabric community, they have a really great landing page here. So I have the link for that. There's both, the Career Hub is something helpful that's as you start looking at certifications. And they also have learning rooms that we talked about. So these learning rooms are like Microsoft hosted platforms to discuss issues. They have good experts in there. So they've set up a lot of different resources for this. And so what do you want to do with that learning as you're doing it? So one thing a lot of people want to pursue is getting the certification. Right now, there's only a single certification inside Fabric. That is the Fabric Analytics Engineer Associate. On that Career Hub, they also bring you right here to something else that covers the certification journey. So these are all kind of similar, and I'll kind of run through them a little bit. They also had the very first item on that is this plan. These used to be called Cloud Skills Challenges. Now they're called 30-day plans. So that it's like, how can you get prepared for a certification exam within 30 days? They launched this literally like, I guess, a week or 2 before, or 2 weeks before I sat for the test. But this is kind of, again, like 11 modules. One thing that's great is that they also have like video walkthroughs where a experienced user will run through the training with you and kind of call things out. Another thing that's great, I gave the link up there, is that they also have them for a number of different regions. So they have it for Australia, New Zealand, Central Europe, Latin America. So that if you want to Spanish as your first language, then they actually have trainings in Spanish, and with experts that can run through those modules with you. And then they also have this 2-hour exam cram, which they've done with a number of different, each time zone's done that. So you can kind of check out like, oh, I want to check out the Central Europe and like hear a nice English accent the whole time, or and just see what different people share on those exam crams. And so that's covered here. So like you can see those are available. The practice assessment is one of the key things I think that will really help in your learning too. So they have a feature where you can take a practice assessment. I think it draws from like 160, 180 questions. There's always 50. So they just randomly give you different questions. And one thing that's great is like on all of these, you can always like make a selection and click check your answer before you go to the next, and they give you a good amount of learnings. And these are going to be very relevant to the certification exam. So like, excuse me, pardon me on that. So like here we were talking about like, one of the questions would be like, how do you support an analytics solution that has 600 report consumers and 10 authors, and needs to use data flow 2, like what license type, and then you want to share the F64 because those 600 consumers would not have to have their own licenses. Let's see here. And then there's also the last 2 milestones of that plan are just, scheduling the exam and joining the looking further into the Career Hub. So the main overview of the exam is like, this is really for people who are subject matter experts in designing, creating, deploying enterprise scale data analytics solutions. And, talks about all the different things that you need to be knowledgeable on, like houses, data warehouses, all those items. Also covers version control and deployment. So they have questions about how you use Git and you would have your deploy framework. Let's see here. They mentioned like other people that you'll normally partner with in this role. I'm not sure, it depends on the size of your organization, how advanced it is, large, but you also do want to have a good amount of experience or not just general knowledge around data modeling, transformation, Git-based source control, exploratory analytics, and they do have lots of questions about like actual programming syntax. So like SQL, DAX, PySpark. If I were going to go about doing it, I would actually, when you're on the certification exam page, they give you this as the course, and this covers more. And I think it's probably, if I'm making the investment, I want to have take as much time as possible. So I'm going to go through that. So taking the practice assessment, they also have a sandbox. I had taken some screenshots, but I'm just going to kind of run through them. It just kind of shows you what the test environment will be like, and like the type of questions. So you'll have the ability to mark things for review for later. You can also leave feedback on something but I don't know that I would take a lot of time trying to figure out how to give feedback on the exam. So they have like multiple choice, drag and drop, list orders, where they actually give you an active screen where you can click on screen and elements and make selections. So different versions of that. They have some that'll have exhibits. So like you might have a separate tab that shows you an exhibit that you'll reference in your question. And then they also have, there's some with multiple exhibits, a way to review your answers, to go back to it later. But this is like the one other thing too. They'll have like 40 of the questions will be of those earlier types, and then 10 of the questions will be, I think 10 will be in case study. And this case study is pretty long. It's also a separate section. So when you're taking the test, you're going to go through all of the other types of questions first, and then you're going to submit that. You can't go back to it anymore, but now you've got to do the state case study questions. So these case study questions, just, I think sometimes people, you'll overthink it. Like you want to read through the case study once, and all of the questions, I believe, will be on the same case study. That was how it was for me. But a lot of times the questions are almost like, they're pretty simple. Like you could have answered them without reading the case study. So don't, like, sometimes I look at it and go, well, let me look at my first answer and then think about coming back to that. You can still review it later as well. Let's see here. Oh, the other thing that they added was the ability to actually look up information in Microsoft Learn product documentation. So I have information about like what that experience is like in a video of what it is actually like. There's some caveats to this. I would not use search in this because it takes a long time and gives you too many results. You're going to want to know before you go in kind of how to quickly get to a few key things like the syntax, like documentation for DAX or for PySpark or SQL. If you're not, like, most people aren't going to be experts in all three of those. You have 100 minutes. The price is $165 to sit for the exam. They have a whole study guide here. I'm not going to go into all of this, but basically, as far as how the scoring goes, it's like you have to get a 700 out of 1,000. It's not exactly 70%. They weight each question and progress you through to kind of get your score. There's a whole plan here, which I marked items that I think you want to like really look into more deeply because they have more questions on them. So I've gone through here and highlighted some. And then additional resources. These will all take you to links that have also, some of them have a bunch of other great information. So the things I want to call out in here are, everything on the left is our articles. Some of them have links. This second one, the skills breakdown and resource links, like literally gives you the learn page for every single one of those sections and items in there. If you want to, Copilot and AI is not really covered much in the test because it's still being in development. But if you want the latest, there I gave you a link at the bottom for that. And then right now, DataCamp just did a video like a week ago, and on their intro to Microsoft Fabric, and the DataCamp platform is free until September 1st right now for anybody who wants to go join. So you want to go check out their information on that. They also cover Power BI and other Azure items, and then found this person, the data guy, ISB, he's newsletters on LinkedIn, and he does a real deep dive into each section as well. So I think, like, if you make a plan, actually here, on my last screen here, I know we're just about at time. So start before you need to. They're already pulled like Power BI per capacity licenses. So the PSQs are going away. You won't be able to renew them or you'll be able to renew them based on your contract, but they won't even be offered after July 1st. Explore the Fabric trial, do all the module exercises if time allows, find your community. I always put in their ability comes from accountability. Take the practice assessments as much as needed. You can do it a bunch of times and it'll tell you how you're progressing. To be quite honest, I didn't even pass my practice exam, took the test and still passed. So, because I kind of found out about it late. So, but I think if I would have got to where I was passing, it would have been a breeze. It wouldn't have been a lot easier because this is a pretty hard certification. Get familiar with the learn and documentation so you can quickly access articles when you're in the test, and always be looking for the latest on YouTube, Udemy, Reddit are some great sources for that. So thank you so much. I know we're just about at time, but I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Thank you, Jason. I have a question before we finish. So is it the Fabric you need to be a part of organization to have account there, similar to the Power BI, or as an individual you can do that? It's not for the training, for later after the training.
So you do have to be able to, you have to have a business email address in order to activate the trial. And so if you put in like a Gmail or Hotmail, it's not going to allow you to set up the account for that. But I think we might check with Lawrence. We had, I think, links about how to get around that as well in past presentations. So
It's similar to the way like you go around the Power BI, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Thank you so much. It's very useful presentation and a lot of information, and you put a lot of work in it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah. Jason, great job. Thank you. I'm actually I have that on my radar to go through that process. So this is actually very beneficial personally.
Excellent.
Fantastic job. Thank you. And I guess since we only have a minute left, real quick, if you could go back and redo it, what would be the one thing you would change for your prep for the test to make things a little bit easier on yourself?
So one of the reasons that I pursued it was, is that I had a discount on the exam, which had a date that I needed to schedule the test by, and so I had procrastinated on that and didn't scheduled the test, and had to schedule it kind of only a few weeks, and so I probably only did about 2 weeks of prep on it. But I was cramming hard. Like I was very lucky, and I was actually like in a transition in my career, so I was able to like just spend 2 days cramming on just reading everything, going through all the exercises, doing all the modules. But it would have been much better to pace that out and give myself more time. Another tip I was going to share, and this happens regularly, is that they give either 50% discounts or full discounts. The full discounts usually come around doing a challenge around the Build conference, and then usually it's about every 6 months they're either going to offer where you can work on a plan to get a 50% discount, or they're going to have like a Build conference challenge where they'll give you a full certification exam, a free certification exam. So if you're planning ahead and looking forward, there might be an opportunity where you can actually get either discounted or free certification exam for this. And yeah, but I'd be practicing on it ahead of time. So
awesome. Well, that's great feedback. And it is officially, we're 1 minute past our time, so we're going to go ahead and call it an afternoon and let everyone go. John V, you're the last one to hang out with us. We appreciate you staying the full length, and Sarah had just dropped off. So on behalf of the leaders in our pub group, we wish you all the best and see you all next month.
yeah.
Yes, I actually enjoyed, and this was my first time here.
Sorry, I didn't mean to speak over you. What did you say there, John V?
I said I actually enjoyed, and this was my very first time here. So nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's great meeting you.
Great to meet you, Jampi.
Thank you.
Glad to have you in this interesting group.
Well, we hope to see you back.
Sorry? No, I was just saying, I love to attend this again.
Definitely. We're here every month, and we usually have more people jumping in. I think a lot of people are dealing with their end of summer trip and get back to school and all that. So we should have, hopefully it wasn't the presenter that scared people away. But no, we appreciate you being here. I'll reach out on LinkedIn and connect there too. And we'll have more learnings in the future.
Sure. Same
Sure.
here. Same here.
See you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you all. Have a good one.
Have a good day.